Hey everyone. So, something absolutely bonkers happened at my job, and I've just been dying to get it off my chest. Imagine working at a place where everything seems normal, projects are flying left and right, and your biggest worry is whether you'll have to work late on Friday. Now, imagine one day, out of the blue, everything just flips on its head. This is the story of how one email, yes, a single email, sent our entire company into a 24-hour tailspin of drama, outrage, and quite a few resignations. Our office, before I dive into the chaos, was your typical ad agency vibe. Open floor plans, colorful bean bags, and a mini fridge always stocked with an assortment of drinks. I worked there for a good few years, nestled in my little corner of the marketing department, surrounded by creative minds and what I thought were transparent policies. Oh, how I was mistaken. It was a Thursday morning, I remember, because Thursdays were when we had our all-hands meetings. But before that could even happen, every phone in the office started buzzing. An email from the head of HR, let's call her Ms. Clueless for anonymity's sake, landed in our inboxes. The subject was something mundane like upcoming benefits changes, but attached to this seemingly innocent email was an Excel spreadsheet. Not just any spreadsheet, mind you, but one that contained the salaries of every single person in the company. You could literally feel the air suck out of the room as everyone opened the attachment. Eyes widened, whispers turned into loud gasps, and then, as you'd expect, the uproar began. Did you see this? How come John in accounting is making that much more than me? This has to be a mistake, right? Were just a few snippets of the chaos that ensued. I sat there staring at my screen, my heart racing. The numbers in front of me made no sense. How was it possible that people doing the same job with similar experiences were on such different pay scales? The feelings of betrayal started to simmer inside me as I glanced around, seeing similar expressions of disbelief on my colleagues' faces. The morning meeting was forgotten. Instead, small groups formed, huddled over screens, pointing at figures, and sharing looks of disbelief and anger. It felt like we were in some sort of dystopian reality show, where the big reveal just turned everyone's world upside down. After the initial shock of seeing everyone's salaries laid bare, the office felt like a battleground. No one was working, we were all too busy trying to make sense of this mess. I was sitting at my desk, still processing everything when Alex, not their real name of course, a close friend and fellow marketer, approached me. "Did you see this?" Alex whispered, glancing around as if the walls had ears. "I can't believe I'm making less than Sam, and we do the exact same job." I nodded, feeling a lump form in my throat. "Yeah, it's a lot to take in. I had no idea the pay gap was this bad." Before we could continue, Charlie, again, not their real name, one of the senior designers, joined our little huddle. "This is complete BS," Charlie said, anger lacing every word. "We need to talk to management about this. How can they justify such disparities?" The three of us agreed to meet later in one of the conference rooms to discuss our next steps. It felt like we were plotting a revolution, not just a meeting. As the day went on, small groups formed around the office, each bubble a mix of frustration and disbelief. I passed by the break room and overheard a conversation between Jordan and Taylor. Names changed, obviously, two of the account managers. "I always suspected something was off," Jordan was saying. "But seeing it all laid out like this, it's a slap in the face." Taylor sighed, shaking their head. "What's next, though? Do we just accept it, or is this the push we needed to demand change?" The consensus was clear. We couldn't let this slide. Finally, the time came for our makeshift union meeting. The conference room was packed, with every seat taken and some standing by the walls. The atmosphere was electric, a mix of anger, determination, and a touch of fear. What if this backfired? "Okay, everyone," Alex started, their voice steady despite the chaos. "We're all here because we've seen the numbers, and we know something needs to change. This isn't about one or two people being underpaid. It's about fairness and transparency." Nods and murmurs of agreement filled the room. Charlie chimed in. "We should draft an email to management, outline our concerns, and ask for a meeting. It's time they explained how they've been justifying these differences. The discussion that followed was passionate but productive. We agreed on a plan of action, demanding answers and proposing a new, transparent pay scale system. There was power in our unity, a sense of shared purpose that I'd never felt in the office before. As the meeting wrapped up, I couldn't help but feel a glimmer of hope amidst the turmoil. Yes, the revelation had been a shock, but perhaps it was the catalyst we needed for real change. Walking back to my desk, I realized that this was more than just about salaries. It was about respect, equality, and standing up for what's right. And no matter what the outcome, I was proud to be part of a group that wouldn't stand by in silence. Just when we thought the dust was beginning to settle from the salary debacle, the real storm hit. It was a Tuesday morning, and I was at my desk, nursing a coffee, still trying to wrap my head around everything that had happened. We were all eagerly awaiting the company-wide meeting scheduled for later that day, expecting answers and perhaps a roadmap to a more transparent future. Then, an hour before the meeting, chaos erupted. Not from within our office, but from every news outlet imaginable. The headline screamed across every screen and device, "Major ad agency under investigation for illegal activities." You could hear a pin drop as everyone read and reread the headlines, trying to digest the magnitude of what was unfolding. Our company, the place we dedicated countless hours of creativity and hard work, was being accused of engaging in illegal activities. Details were scarce, but the words fraud and embezzlement were enough to send shockwaves through the office. The meeting, when it finally happened, wasn't led by our CEO or the infamous Ms. Clueless. Instead, a team of somber-faced lawyers took the stage, explaining the situation with as much delicacy as they could muster. In light of recent discoveries and ongoing investigations, it is with a heavy heart that we announce the immediate closure of our agency, one of the lawyers announced. We understand this is a lot to process, and we assure you that we will provide support and guidance during this transition. The room was silent, not the kind of silence that follows a surprise, but the deafening silence of shock and disbelief. This wasn't just about job loss, it was about betrayal. Alex turned to me, their face pale. "Did you know about this? How could something like this happen?" I shook my head, feeling numb. "I had no idea. I can't believe it's over." Charlie stood up, their voice trembling with emotion. "What about our projects, our clients? What do we tell them?" The lawyers promised answers, but delivered few. As the reality of the situation sunk in, the initial shock turned into anger and fear. How could we not have known? Were there signs we ignored? The next few hours were a blur of packing up personal items, consoling colleagues, and an overwhelming sense of loss. The agency that had been my home, where I had grown professionally and built lasting friendships, was gone, swallowed up by the consequences of actions taken by those at the very top. In the days that followed, the full extent of the illegal activities came to light. It wasn't just one person's doing. It was a series of choices made by the upper management that had sealed our fate. The salary incident, it turned out, was just the tip of the iceberg, a distraction from the much larger issues lurking beneath the surface. As for Ms. Clueless and the CEO, they disappeared into the chaos, their careers and reputations tarnished by the scandal. The rest of us were left to pick up the pieces, finding new jobs, and trying to make sense of how it all went so wrong. Looking back, the whole experience feels surreal, like a bad dream I'm still trying to wake up from. But it taught me valuable lessons about transparency, integrity, and the importance of asking the hard questions.